You think seduction is about saying the right words, buying her drinks, or making grand moves. Wrong. The truth is, what drives women wild are the things you rarely notice, the hidden moves that speak louder than any pickup line ever could. Most men approach women the same way. They try hard, talk too much, and reveal everything too quickly. And what happens? She pulls away. She feels nothing. Because attraction isn't built by effort alone. It's sparked by psychology, by subtle triggers that awaken something deep inside her. Maybe you've been there. You give her attention, you text back fast, you keep trying to prove you're good enough, and still she seems distant. Meanwhile, another man barely says a word, doesn't chase, and somehow she's chasing him. That leaves you asking, what's he doing that I'm not? Here's the answer. He's not just acting, he's using psychology whether he knows it or not. The way he looks at her, the silence he holds, the control he shows, all of these are hidden seduction moves that bypass her logic and go straight to her desire. In this video, you'll learn the 10 hidden seduction moves that make women feel a spark. They can't explain the subtle, almost invisible actions that separate the man she forgets from the man she obsesses over. If you're tired of guessing, tired of chasing with no results, this is where the game changes. Let's get into it. Number 1. The slow look that electrifies her. Most men underestimate the power of a look. They rush glance too quickly or dart their eyes away the second she meets their gaze. But here's the truth. The slow look is one of the most powerful seduction moves you'll ever use. When done right, it doesn't just grab her attention, it electrifies her. Let me paint you a picture. Mark, 48. An architect from Denver was out at a dinner party with friends. Across the table sat Rachel, 44, a marketing executive. They'd met before but never had a real moment. This time, instead of diving straight into conversation or cracking a joke, Mark simply held her gaze for a few seconds longer than normal. He didn't smile too much, didn't break the tension. He let his eyes linger just enough for Rachel to notice. That single look sparked something. Later, Rachel admitted she couldn't stop thinking about it, not because of what he said, but because of how he made her feel without saying a word. Why does this work? Because a slow look creates tension. It activates her imagination. Instead of giving everything away, you let her fill the silence with her own thoughts. The mind hates uncertainty, and when she feels that spark, but doesn't know exactly what you're thinking, her brain starts to play with the possibilities. Curiosity turns into obsession. This is where psychology backs it up. Studies show that extended eye contact increases attraction and intimacy far more than words. It's primal. When you look at her slowly, steadily, you're communicating dominance, calmness, and focus. You're saying, I see you, and I'm not afraid to let you see me. The Stoics understood this kind of power. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Apply that here, her imagination does most of the work. The slow look plants a seed, and her mind grows it into desire. You don't have to talk her into attraction. You let her own psychology seduce her. Now here's the rule, don't overdo it. A slow look isn't staring like a creep. It's deliberate, brief, and then broken at the right time. The impact comes from balance, intensity, followed by release. You give her a spark, then pull back, leaving her wanting more. Mark understood this naturally. After that first lingering look, he didn't bombard Rachel with attention. He went back to his meal, spoke casually with others, and let the moment breathe. That made the look even more powerful, because she realized he wasn't desperate for her reaction. He was in control. And that's the hidden beauty of the slow look. It flips the script. Instead of chasing her with words, you let silence, stillness, and presence speak louder. You remind her that real confidence isn't about performing. It's about being comfortable enough to hold tension without breaking. So the next time you're in a conversation, resist the urge to fill the space with chatter. Try the slow look. Hold her eyes a second longer than usual, then pull away with calm assurance. Watch how the atmosphere shifts. Watch how she leans in. wondering what you're thinking. Now lock this in. Type it in the comments, I hold the gaze. Because the men who master this move don't need clever lines. Their eyes speak the language of desire. And stay tuned, because in the next part, we're going deeper into another hidden move that works even without words. One that flips silence itself into a seduction tool most men completely overlook. Number 2. Silence that pulls her closer. Most men fear silence. They rush to fill every gap with words, jokes, or questions, thinking that if the conversation slows, the attraction dies. But here's the truth. Silence, when handled with strength, is magnetic. It doesn't push her away, it pulls her closer. Think about it. Silence creates space, and in that space her mind starts working. She begins to wonder what you're thinking, why you're so calm, why you're not scrambling to impress her. That curiosity grows. What feels uncomfortable to most men feels irresistible to women. Psychology explains this clearly. Humans are wired to dislike uncertainty. When there's a pause, we instinctively want to fill it. But when you hold the silence with ease, you signal that you don't need to chase. You're confident enough to let her do the work. That shift in energy makes her lean in. She feels the pull because you're not giving her the predictable noise she gets from everyone else. Stoicism captures this perfectly. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Silence is not weakness, it's presence, it's awareness. It's the ability to let the moment breathe instead of forcing it. When you embrace silence, you show control not just of the situation but of yourself. Now here's where most men get it wrong. They confuse silence with passivity. They think being quiet means doing nothing. But seductive silence is intentional. It's eye contact held for a moment longer. It's a pause before answering. It's sitting back comfortably, letting her fill the air instead of nervously filling it yourself. And here's the rule: don't fear silence, use it. Hold your frame in those quiet moments. Resist the urge to explain yourself, to prove your worth, to win her over with constant chatter. Let the silence do the heavy lifting. The effect is powerful. Silence builds tension. Tension builds desire. And desire builds pursuit. When she senses that you're not trying to fill every second, she begins to invest more. She shares more, reveals more, and works harder to break through your calm exterior. Imagine the difference. One man talks non-stop, spilling every thought, laughing nervously at his own jokes. The other man listens, pauses, and lets silence hang confidently in the air. Which man do you think she feels more drawn to? Which one leaves her wondering long after the conversation ends? This is why silence is not empty, it's full. Full of power, full of tension, full of meaning that words often ruin. And once you learn to sit with it, you'll realize how magnetic it really is. The Stoics practiced this discipline daily. They trained themselves not to react to every impulse, not to waste energy on meaningless words. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are calm and steady, your silence will carry that energy and she'll feel it without you needing to say a thing. So next time you're tempted to break the quiet, stop, breathe, hold steady, let her feel the space. You'll be surprised how often she steps in to fill it, not because she's bored, but because she's drawn in by your presence. Now lock it in. Type this in the comments: I master silence. Because the man who owns silence never has to beg for attention, it comes to him naturally. And stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to reveal another move that works hand in hand with silence: the art of scarcity. When you're not always available, when your presence is rare, that's when her desire intensifies. Number 3. Scarcity makes her crave more. Here's a simple truth about human nature: we value what we can't easily have. And for women, this principle applies directly to attraction. When you're always available, always responding instantly, always there at her call, you remove the mystery, you remove the chase. But when your presence is scarce, when she has to earn your attention, desire kicks in hard. Let me give you a real example. Michael, 52, a business consultant from Chicago, had been single for a couple of years. He started seeing Anna, 47, a real estate agent. At first, Michael made the classic mistake, texting every morning, checking in throughout the day and rearranging his schedule anytime Anna wanted to meet. Guess what happened? She pulled back. She started showing less interest, canceling plans, even delaying responses. Frustrated, Michael decided to change his approach. Instead of being on call, he went back to focusing on his routine, his gym sessions, his client meetings, his time with friends. He answered Anna when it fit his schedule, not instantly. He didn't ghost her, but he didn't make himself endlessly available either. Within a week, Anna's tone shifted. She started texting first. She began suggesting plans. Her energy toward Michael reignited, not because he did something new, but because he stopped flooding her with access. Scarcity made her crave more. This works because psychology is wired that way. Scarcity increases value. When something is rare, we assume it's worth more. The same applies to your time and attention. If you give it freely, it becomes cheap. If you protect it, women instinctively respect it, and they want more of it. Stoicism reinforces this lesson. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid with regard to external things." In other words, don't chase approval. Don't give yourself away trying to look valuable. True worth doesn't need to shout. It's shown in how you choose where your energy goes. Now here's the rule: stop being everywhere all the time. You don't need to reply within seconds. You don't need to cancel your life to fit hers. When you do, you train her to take you for granted. But when you make space, when she feels your presence and your absence, she starts to crave your attention like oxygen. Michael learned that lesson quickly. Once he set boundaries, Anna respected him more. She didn't feel like she could walk all over him anymore. And because she couldn't predict when he'd give his time, every interaction felt richer. Scarcity turned ordinary moments into something she couldn't stop thinking about. This isn't about playing games. It's not about disappearing or pretending you don't care. It's about balance. You show interest, but you don't oversaturate. You let her know she matters, but you also remind her that your life doesn't revolve around her. That tension is what creates pull. So the next time you're tempted to give her unlimited access, pause. Ask yourself, am I giving too much? Am I making myself too easy? Because the man who knows how to hold back, who knows the value of scarcity, never has to beg for attention. She gives it freely because she feels the pull of something she can't fully have. Now, put this into action. Type it in the comments, "I protect my time." Because the men who protect their time are the ones women fight hardest to win over. And don't go anywhere, because next we're breaking down another move that builds even more tension when you want her, but you don't give in right away. That restraint is what drives her wild. Number 4. Restraint turns her wild. Most men think desire is about giving her everything she wants the moment she wants it. They rush in, say yes too fast, and give too much too soon. But here's the hidden truth: restraint, holding back, controlling yourself, not giving in right away, is what makes her go wild. Think about the last time you wanted something badly but couldn't have it immediately. The wait, the delay, the tension, all of it made you want it more. It's the same with women. When you show restraint, you create anticipation. And anticipation is one of the strongest forces in attraction. Restraint says you're not desperate. It says you have control over yourself. It says you won't collapse just because you feel desire. That calm control is what flips the script. Instead of her feeling like she can predict you, she starts wondering, why isn't he rushing? Why is he holding back? And the more she wonders, the more invested she becomes. This works because the human mind magnifies what it can't have. Scarcity fuels desire, but restraint takes it deeper. It's not about ignoring her, it's about showing her that you lead even in passion. Stoicism gives the perfect frame here. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." That's exactly what restraint is: power over yourself. Most men are controlled by their impulses. The Stoic man controls his impulses, and in doing so, he controls the entire dynamic. Now, don't mistake restraint for rejection. You're not shutting her down. You're not playing cold forever. You're simply pacing the energy. You're saying, "I want you, but I'm not in a rush. I don't need to prove anything. We'll move when I decide." That timing creates fire. Here's the rule: don't always give in right away. When she tests you with her looks, her words, her closeness, hold steady. Breathe. Let the tension build. Then when you finally move, the impact is 10 times stronger. This is why restraint turns her wild, because it separates you from the men who break at the first sign of attraction. It shows you're different. It shows you're a man who chooses, not a man who begs. Now I want you to anchor this mindset right now. Drop it in the comments: "I control myself." Because the man who controls himself doesn't just gain respect, he creates obsession. And listen, if you're serious about mastering this level of control, about learning how Stoic psychology can give you an edge in attraction and relationships, this is where the membership comes in. Inside, I share advanced strategies, deeper breakdowns, and practical tools that go far beyond these videos. If you're ready to stop guessing and start leading, hit the join button and step inside today. And don't go anywhere, because next we're uncovering a move most men overlook completely. It's not about words, not about effort, but about stillness. A calm presence so powerful that women can't help but lean in closer. Number 5. Stillness she can't shake. Most men think attraction is about doing more. More words, more moves, more effort. But here's the paradox: what really pulls a woman in is stillness. A calm, unshakable presence that makes her feel both safe and challenged at the same time. Let me give you an example. Richard, 55, is a retired firefighter living in Texas. He's been seeing Karen, 50, a high school counselor. At first, Richard thought he had to entertain Karen, constantly jokes, stories, constant energy. But he noticed something interesting. The moments that impacted her most weren't when he was talking, but when he was silent, steady, and calm. When he leaned back, listened fully, and held eye contact without fidgeting. Karen later told him she felt a rush of attraction she couldn't explain. His stillness made her feel his strength in a way words never could. Why does stillness work? Because women are sensitive to energy. When you're restless, when you can't sit in silence, when you're always moving to fill space, you signal nervousness. But when you're still, when your breathing is slow, your body relaxed, and your presence steady, you radiate control. That calm is contagious. She feels it in her own body, and it draws her in. This isn't about being cold or detached. Stillness isn't passive. It's active control. It's the ability to stay grounded in yourself when the world around you is chaotic. That kind of presence is rare, and rare. Things are always attractive. Stoicism understood this thousands of years ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved, and the raging of the sea falls still around it." That is stillness. Not absence of energy, but power contained. And women feel it the moment they're near, a man who lives it. Richard didn't need to perform for Karen. His calm presence said everything. It told her he wasn't desperate, he wasn't seeking approval. He was already whole. That steadiness is what women crave, because it gives them space to relax, to drop their own guard, to lean into a man who won't be shaken. Here's the rule: stop trying to prove yourself with noise. Stop scrambling to entertain. Practice stillness. The way you sit, the way you breathe, the way you respond slowly instead of instantly, all of it communicates strength. And strength is what makes her restless in the best way possible. Think about the last time you met a man who radiated calm. You could feel it before he even spoke. That's what she feels with you when you embrace stillness. She can't shake it because it's not just about you, it's about how she feels in your presence. Richard noticed that the more he leaned into stillness, the more Karen pursued him. She opened up more. She reached out more. She wanted to be near him because his calm created a contrast with the chaos of her everyday life. So the next time you're tempted to overdo it, remember stillness is louder than words. It's louder than effort. It's the quiet power that leaves her thinking about you long after you're gone. Now make it real. Drop this in the comments, I lead with calm. Because the men who lead with calm don't chase attention, they attract it naturally. And don't go anywhere, because in the next part, we'll uncover a move even more subtle, the quiet status that seduces without you needing to brag or show off. Number 6. Quiet status that seduces. Most men think status is about showing off the car, the clothes, the bank account. But here's the reality: true status doesn't shout, it whispers. The kind of status that actually seduces women isn't loud or flashy. It's quiet. It's the confidence of a man who knows who he is and doesn't need to prove it to anyone. Women pick up on this faster than men realize. When you try too hard to show off, it feels insecure. It looks like you're trying to convince her of your worth. But when your success, your discipline, and your self-respect simply show in the way you carry yourself, that's when she feels it. Quiet status doesn't need validation. It's already validated by reality. Think about it. A man who's grounded in his work, who's disciplined in his habits, who carries himself with calm assurance, never needs to brag. His life speaks louder than words, and women are wired to sense that. It's not the loud man in the room who attracts her attention. It's the man who's steady, present, and quietly powerful. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That's quiet status in its purest form. Don't debate your worth. Don't try to impress her with empty words. Live it. When you embody discipline, purpose, and integrity, you don't need to explain it. She feels it. Here's the key: quiet status is revealed through consistency. The way you take care of yourself, the way you set boundaries, the way you don't collapse when tested. These subtle signals tell her more than any flashy gesture ever could. Men often believe they need to perform constant stories, constant proving, constant showing. But the truth is, women crave a man whose life already speaks. She wants to step into your world, not be bombarded with your attempts to sell it. Quiet status is also about control. When you don't react to every little thing, when you don't get thrown off by tests or challenges, you radiate a kind of authority that makes her lean in. She feels safe but also intrigued. Because you're not trying to win her, you've already won yourself. This doesn't mean you hide your success. It means you let it be seen naturally. The way you dress simply but sharply. The way you move with purpose. The way you treat others with respect, not arrogance. That's what leaves a lasting impression. Women can't ignore this kind of energy. Quiet status leaves her thinking, what makes him so centered? Why does he feel different from the others? That question creates intrigue, and intrigue drives attraction. Stoicism again reinforces this. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." The same applies here. Don't explain your value, embody it. The quiet power of your life will say more than you ever could. So here's the rule: stop chasing validation. Stop trying to prove your high status. Instead, build a life worth respecting and let it speak for itself. When you do, women feel it instantly, and they can't help but be drawn in. Now ground this in your mind. Type it in the comments, "I embody value." Because the man who embodies value doesn't need to shout. His silence carries more weight than another man's performance. And stick around, because in the next part, we'll dive into the seductive power of memory. How to create moments that linger in her mind long after you've gone. Number 7. Memory that makes her melt. Attraction doesn't just live in the moment. What truly separates a man she forgets from a man she obsesses over is the kind of memories he creates. The memory of how you made her feel stays with her long after the conversation ends, long after the night is over, even long after you've walked away. And when that memory is powerful enough, it melts her. Let me give you a real example. David, 46, a financial advisor from California, started dating Melissa, 43, a nurse. Their first date wasn't over the top. No luxury dinners, no flashy gifts. Instead, David created a moment that stuck. They went for a walk by the beach at sunset, and he kept the focus simple. His calm presence, his playful teasing, and the way he looked at her without rushing to fill every silence. Later, Melissa admitted she couldn't stop replaying that night in her head. It wasn't what he did. It was how he made her feel calm, seen, and excited at the same time. That's the secret. Women remember feelings more than details. The restaurant doesn't matter. The price tag doesn't matter. What matters is the atmosphere you create, the way you leave her with an emotional imprint. Memory is tied directly to emotion, and emotion drives attraction. This is where most men go wrong. They think they need grand gestures. They believe they need to impress with things, but those fade quickly. What lasts are the subtle, intentional moments. The way you listen without interrupting. The way you stay composed when others would lose control. The way you hold eye contact just long enough to make her heartbeat quicken. Psychology backs this up. Our brains are wired to store emotionally charged experiences longer than neutral ones. That's why she might forget what you said, but she'll never forget how you made her feel. David understood this naturally. He didn't chase validation. He didn't oversell himself. He focused on creating a space where Melissa could feel both comfortable and intrigued. That's why the memory of him lingered in her mind. And here's the rule: don't try to overwhelm her with a performance. Instead, aim to create meaningful moments. Keep it simple but powerful. Think presence, not presentation. When you master this, you don't just win the date. You win the memory, and that memory keeps her thinking of you long after. The Stoics captured this truth in their own way. Seneca once wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it." The same applies here. A short interaction can feel long-lasting if you know how to shape it with presence and depth. That's what creates the kind of memory she can't shake. So remember, what matters isn't the show, it's the imprint. Focus on how she feels in your presence, not on what you think will impress her. That's how you build a memory that melts her every time she recalls it. Now, make it stick. Type this in the comments: I create memories. Because the man who creates unforgettable memories doesn't chase attention, he owns it. And don't go anywhere, because next we're going to talk about something even more powerful: how mastering your emotions gives you the kind of control that not only attracts her, but makes her feel deeply drawn to your strength. Number 8. Control of emotions she feels. Here's something most men never realize. Attraction isn't just about how you look or what you say, it's about how you make her feel. If you can't guide her emotions, she won't connect deeply with you. But if you can master that, if you can control the emotional atmosphere around you, she'll find herself pulled toward you in ways she can't explain. Think about it. A man who panics when she tests him, she feels anxiety. A man who gets defensive when challenged, she feels tension, but the wrong kind. But a man who stays calm, collected, and steady no matter what, she feels safety, mystery, and respect. That emotional control makes her lean in closer. The truth is, women ride emotional waves. That's not a weakness, it's human psychology. But men who can't stay steady get lost in those waves. The man who can anchor himself, he becomes the rock she wants to hold on to. Stoicism is built on this principle. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Apply that here. You don't control her moods, but you control yours. And by mastering your own emotions, you create the conditions that shape hers. Here's the key: don't let her pull you into chaos. If she's upset, don't mirror her. If she's testing, don't overreact. Hold steady, breathe, speak slowly. That energy sets the tone. She can feel your calmness, and it influences her state more than any words ever could. This is why emotional control is seductive. It's not about manipulation, it's about leadership. You set the pace, the mood, the vibe. She responds to it naturally because people are wired to mirror emotional energy. Most men fail here because they think reacting quickly shows passion. But quick reactions usually show weakness. Passion with control is what builds respect. For example, when she tries to get under your skin instead of snapping you, smile. Instead of proving yourself, you hold your frame. That quiet confidence flips the dynamic. Suddenly she's the one wondering how you stay unshaken. And that wonder is what creates attraction. She doesn't want a man who loses control at the slightest push. She wants the man who can absorb pressure and still move with purpose. That strength reassures her, excites her, and challenges her at the same time. Remember, women don't just remember what you say. They remember how they felt around you. If every interaction leaves her feeling steady, intrigued, and pulled into your energy, she'll crave more of it. And the only way you get there is by mastering yourself first. Seneca put it simply, "He who is brave is free." Brave enough to master your own emotions, free enough to guide hers without fear. That's the power that separates ordinary men from the ones who stay in her mind. So here's your rule: stop being reactive. Stop letting her control the emotional frame. You lead it. And when you do, she'll follow, not because you forced her, but because she feels safer and more alive in your presence than anywhere else. Now put it in writing. Type this in the comments: I control energy. Because the man who controls energy doesn't just attract her, he captivates her. And don't move yet, because in the next part we're going to reveal a move that takes things even further. It's about a single touch. Subtle, forbidden, unforgettable. The kind of move that stays with her long after it happens. Number 9. The forbidden touch she can't forget. There's something primal about touch. Done right, it bypasses words, logic, and thought, going straight to emotion and memory. And when that touch feels a little forbidden, subtle, unexpected, but perfectly timed, it's the kind she never forgets. Let's make this real. Tom, 49, a sales director from Florida, had been dating Julia, 45, a lawyer. They were having dinner one evening, the kind of dinner where the conversation flowed easily but stayed light. Instead of leaning across the table with over-the-top gestures, Tom waited for the right moment. When Julia laughed at one of his remarks, he reached over, gently touched her wrist for just a second longer than casual. Then he leaned back, letting the moment breathe. That single touch carried more weight than 1,000 words. Julia later admitted that it replayed in her mind the entire night. Why? Because the forbidden touch creates electricity. It's not about groping or crossing lines. It's about subtlety. A touch on her hand when she's not expecting it. A brief brush on her shoulder as you guide her through a doorway. A gentle but firm touch on her back that says, "I'm here, I'm leading." These small gestures light up her nervous system, making her hyper-aware of you without you needing to say a thing. Psychology explains this. Touch releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It creates a link between physical sensation and emotional connection. And when the touch feels rare, when it's not overused, it becomes powerful, unforgettable. Here's the rule: less is more. If you constantly touch, it loses impact. But when you hold back and then use touch deliberately, it becomes charged. That's why Tom's simple wrist touch worked better than anything else. It wasn't constant, it was rare. And rare things stay in the mind. The Stoics would see this as discipline in action. Epictetus taught freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. In this case, the control isn't about her, it's about you. You control your impulses. You don't rush into constant physical contact. You wait, you choose, you time it. That restraint, turns the smallest gesture into the most powerful one. For Julia, that single moment shifted everything. She realized Tom wasn't like the men who rushed in desperate to push boundaries. He was confident enough to hold back, and that made the forbidden touch even more impactful. It lingered with her not because of what happened, but because of how he made her feel alive, surprised, and wanted all at once. So here's the takeaway. Don't underestimate the power of touch. Use it sparingly, use it with purpose, and when you do, make it subtle, almost secret. That's what makes it forbidden in the best way possible, and that's why she won't forget it. Now lock it in. Type this in the comments: I touch with purpose. Because the man who masters this doesn't need grand gestures. His smallest move leaves the deepest mark. And don't move yet, because in the final part, we're going to tie it all together. The one quality that makes every move, every touch, every silence more powerful: self-respect. When you embody it, she doesn't just want you, she competes for you. Number 10. Unbending self-respect drives desire. If there's one quality that ties all the hidden seduction moves together, it's this: self-respect. Without it, everything else falls apart. You can master silence, touch, stillness, even restraint, but if you don't respect yourself, she won't respect you. And without respect, desire doesn't just fade, it dies. Here's the truth. Most men avoid women test you. They'll push, they'll question, they'll cross little boundaries just to see how you respond. If you fold, if you let things slide that go against your values, you send a loud message: you don't value yourself enough to protect your own ground. And that kills attraction instantly. On the other hand, when you hold your line, when you make it clear through your actions that your self-respect is not negotiable, something shifts. She doesn't just notice it, she feels it. She recognizes that you're not a man who can be bent out of fear of losing her. And paradoxically, that makes her want you more. Think about it. Who is more desirable? The man who bends over backwards to avoid conflict, who says yes to everything just to stay in her good graces, or the man who calmly, firmly says no when something crosses his boundaries, even if it risks her being upset? Women may get frustrated in the moment, but long-term, the second man is the one they respect, the one they desire, the one they can't stop thinking about. Psychology backs this up. Boundaries are attractive because they signal strength. Humans are drawn to those who stand for something, who hold a solid frame. When you lack self-respect, you broadcast insecurity. When you guard it fiercely, you radiate power. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That mastery begins with self-respect. It's the foundation. Without it, you're a leaf blowing in the wind. With it, you're the tree that bends but never breaks. And let's be clear, self-respect isn't about arrogance. It's not about being rigid or refusing to compromise on anything. It's about knowing where your line is, knowing what you will and won't tolerate, and holding that with calm strength. You don't need to yell. You don't need to prove yourself. Your actions show it. Here's how it plays out in real life. A woman tests you by canceling plans last minute. Do you immediately beg to reschedule, acting like your time has no value? Or do you calmly say, "All right, let's try another time and go live your life without chasing"? She may pout, but she'll notice. You're showing her that your time is precious. Or maybe she tries to get under your skin with sharp words. Do you react with anger, proving she can control your emotions? Or do you stay calm, refusing to be dragged into a fight that doesn't serve you? Again, she may push harder, but underneath she respects it. This is why unbending self-respect drives desire. It proves you're not afraid of loss. You're not controlled by her approval. And that freedom is what makes her feel drawn to you. Because women aren't looking for a man they can control. They're looking for a man who can't be broken. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free. Brave enough to lose her rather than lose yourself. Brave enough to hold your standards even when it's hard. Brave enough to choose self-respect first, because without it nothing else matters. So here's the rule. Never trade your self-respect for temporary approval. Never bend so far that you break. Because the moment you do, you stop being the man she desires. Attraction isn't built on weakness. It's built on strength, and strength is built on self-respect. When you live this way, women feel it. They may not always say it, but deep down they crave it. It's rare. And rare is irresistible. Now lock it in. Type this in the comments: I respect myself. Because the man who respects himself doesn't chase. He doesn't beg. He doesn't fold. He leads. And that's why she follows. So now you know the 10 hidden moves that drive women wild. None of these are about tricks or pretending to be someone you're not. They're about control, presence, and self-respect. When you live by these principles, you don't just attract women, you command desire on a deeper level. If you found value in this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss what's coming next. And if you're ready to take this even further, join our private membership. Inside, I share advanced strategies, Stoic insights, and deeper breakdowns that don't make it onto YouTube. It's where men who are serious about growth sharpen their edge. Thank you for watching, thank you for being here, and remember, attraction starts with how you carry yourself. I'll see you tomorrow with another lesson you don't want to miss.